Welcome, CITC second year electrical students. My name is Craig Garczynski, and welcome to North Yorkshire, England, and the Ripley Castle, which is sitting behind me. And my wife Tina is also here helping me film this. So this is Tina. So I want to go through some things with you today, and first starting with who I am. And why am I here? Why is a guy named Craig in Yorkshire, England, here on a video that you guys are having to watch? And then I want to go over in about somewhere around a 20-minute intro today, and welcome. I want to go over those as well as what you're to expect and how can I help you out with that. I might be a little bit distracted. I don't know if you just heard that. We're on a walkway, and around here it's called a footpath. And there's people that are walking by enjoying this beautiful view, and there's riders that are coming by, and one just zipped right through here on his bike. So I might be a little bit distracted, but I think I can pull this off successfully. This area is about a 15-minute drive from our home, and it's just a beautiful setting. So who am I? So my name is Craig Garczynski. I am a master electrician of over 30 years now. I'm pretty young. I'm 48, but I've been doing it for a long time. It's in my blood. My dad was a master electrician. My brother is a master electrician. I'm a master. It's in my family. It's in my genes. And it's interesting to see how each of us took it a little bit of a different way in our paths. Similar to maybe how some of you are experiencing this electrical apprenticeship, and maybe some of your thoughts on what it means to you in the future. More about me. I grew up in Detroit, Michigan, in a suburb of Detroit. My dad was a master electrician and an electrical contractor, and he kind of found himself in the electrical world. It wasn't his first choice. Growing up in Detroit, his first choice was to be a Detroit policeman. But for one reason or another, it didn't work out for him. And so his second choice was to work for Ford Motor Company, which was a really popular thing to do for guys his age at that time. In the 50s and 60s, it was just something to do. Very popular thing to do, I should say. So he went to work for Ford Motor in the River Rouge plant in Detroit, Michigan, right along the Detroit River, where they brought steel in on one end of the building and they drove cars out on the other end. And that was his apprenticeship. And he found that he loved electrical work and loved just all the different opportunities that it brought him. So he became an electrical contractor, moved to the suburbs north of Detroit, and that's the family that I grew up in. And I enjoyed working for him, but it was something that I struggled with. It was something that I went back and forth with. Do I want to be an electrician? Do I want to do something else? My brother did the same thing. Do I want to be an electrician? Do I want to do something else? And we were both smart. And we're both mathematically inclined, which is really good for an electrician to have those skills. And I found that it was just my path. So I became a journeyman electrician in Michigan in 1996. And at that time, this is where I had it easier than you guys. And I have so much respect for you being here in this class and having this classroom education be a part of your overall apprenticeship education. I didn't have to go to school. In Michigan, it was 2,000 hours a year for 4 years, 8,000 hours in the field under the direct supervision of a master electrician as a prerequisite to take a test. And I took my journeyman's test, and 50% of my journeyman's test back in 1996 was identifying parts on a parts board. And that was 50% of the test. And the other 50% of the test was a little bit more difficult, but it wasn't that much more difficult. So I had it easy. You guys have it a lot harder than I did, and I have a lot of respect for that. So my journey continued to Denver, Colorado. So I moved from Michigan, I wanted to do something different. I was in my mid-20s, and I was just at that place where I was still single, and I was exploring opportunities. My sister had moved to Denver, and I was just looking at what else can I do? Are there any other opportunities? And yes, there was for me. So I moved to Denver right before the population boom in Denver. So I could still say that those were the good old days when I-25 wasn't as packed as what it is now. And loved my time there. I took a little bit of time off from doing electrical work, but as I said earlier, it's in my blood, it's in my genes, so I got back into it. And in 1999, I got a job with Duro Electric, which some of you may be working for Duro Electric right now, and you're shaking your head like, yep, I know that company. And I had a great experience with Duro. And then I got my master's license early 2000s. It was actually 2001 when I got my master's license, and thought, well, maybe there's something else in this for me. I've taken my electrical knowledge over the years, and I've just kind of continued to move it along a path. Though I also envy somebody, and maybe some of you that are listening are like this, some that can kind of do the same thing and stay in the same place and just get really good at it and do the same thing year after year. And that's great. If you're able to do that, that's fantastic. I'm not able to do that. I have to kind of change things up a little bit. And my wife, who's here with me, she's nodding her head a little bit. Part of it is laughter, like, oh yeah, that's funny, I know what you mean. And the other part is kind of like this chuckling, like, she's like, yes, I know what you mean, that we have to kind of change things up a little bit every once in a while. And that's just how I am. That's how I'm built, and that's how I'm wired. And so I continued on in my journey in Colorado, and then to become a contractor. I was a self-employed residential contractor, so it was a different route that I had grown up with in Michigan. My dad did small commercial work, and so it was my first time in the residential world. And I got to learn a lot of great things in that environment. Had some fantastic customers, and really enjoyed my job. And at the same time, I found that there was like this passion that was kind of welling up in me about being a teacher. I had no idea what it looked like, and for me, it just didn't seem like it was something that was realistic. When I first thought, wow, I want to be a teacher, I thought, what am I talking about? I dropped out of college, and education wasn't for me, and the classroom structure wasn't for me, so why in the world would I have this silly thought of being a teacher? And it just continued to well up in me, and I just went with it. And so I talked to somebody one day who was a teacher at CITC, and I said, hey, tell me about that. What is it that you do there? And how does that, fulfill you, and what does that look like? And I had an interview with CITC and started that next semester, and the first year was exciting and very difficult, because I'm a bit of a perfectionist, and I don't know if some of you know the Enneagram. On the Enneagram, my two highest areas are peacemaker and perfectionist. So I've got perfectionism skill in me, which is a blessing and a curse. And so I wanted to be the best teacher possible right out of the gate. And this was back in about 2003 I started with CITC, give or take just a little bit, 2003, maybe 2004. And I wanted to perfect it, and the skills weren't there. The need or the desire was there, the knowledge was there, but I had to hone in on some things. And I got thrown into second year where you guys are right now, and I got, I don't want to say thrown into second year, that's might be a little bit of an exaggeration. I found myself in second year where you find yourself, and right out of the gate, second year starts off with AC theory, which is one of the most difficult topics to discuss and convey that message to others that are also trying to understand it. So my first year was pretty difficult. And every time that I had a 4-hour class to teach on a Wednesday night, I had about 25 hours of prep that went into that 4 hours of class time because I'm a perfectionist and I wanted to make it right. And I still felt like I failed. And so I respect that your instructors, that I'm coming alongside and supplementing their education for you, Bill Bickett and Calvin, that they've got a lot of work as instructors in making sure that you get the best education possible. So I continued over the years, and continued to hone in on some of my skills and learn things a little bit better, and how to how to effectively bring about that message. Uh, like a, I'll give you a code book reference. The NEC, there's a difference between a ground fault current path and an effective ground fault current path. There's a huge difference between the two. And maybe second semester, when you're talking about grounding and bonding, when the instructor is teaching that with you and you're reading that in your book, we'll get to that a little bit more later, but there's a difference. And so I wasn't as effective as an instructor as I wanted to be, but my desire was to be the best that I could, and I worked at it. So continuing on with my story, and I'll be wrapping up on who I am and get to some other things here shortly. In 2016, I found, I might need to do something else. I still love doing electrical work, and it still not just pays the bills for me, but it's exciting for me, and there's a lot of opportunities there for me and surrounding me. I got a job with Lockheed Martin and phased out of being a self-employed contractor in the residential world. I was a little bit tired of the driving that I had to do in Denver, and the traffic was starting to take a toll on me, as some of you understand if you have to drive around quite a bit. And Lockheed provided a fantastic opportunity for me. Not only was it working at a facility where I had to drive 10 miles to work and 10 miles home, and that was it, and no other driving, but there were travel opportunities for me and my wife to look at and explore. And there was something that happened right after I got a job with them. I got an opportunity for a lateral transfer within the company to come here to Harrogate, England, which is where we are today. So Harrogate is it's a little bit more north in England. It's in the middle of the country, in the middle of the two coasts. Liverpool is a couple hours from here, the home of the Beatles, the home of the Premier League champions this year, Liverpool football. Couple hours from Manchester, 35 minutes from York, 4 hours north of London, couple hours south of Scotland. So you get the picture. And I'll share a map with you, and maybe you'll get a better idea of where I am in this beautiful part of the world. And I'm here because of my electrical abilities, and because my job opportunity said they recognized, hey, you're a master electrician, you seem to have a good track record, we want to hire you for this particular job, and there are tremendous opportunities that I have right now as well as in the future. And right now, I'm doing a little bit more with infrared thermography, which is really exciting, and a way of a lot of the electrical analysis in the future for predictive and preventative maintenance, and that's pretty exciting. And I'm getting pretty effective with that. And so that's a bit about me. And so the next question is, you might have, okay, Craig, that's great for your introduction. That sounds all exciting, but why are you here? Why are you talking to us? Why is this part of the curriculum? So the first part of that answer is because Corey and I were having a discussion. Occasionally we email back and forth, maybe me discussing with her the different travels that we've been on. If you've ever been in Corey's office, she collects things along her window in her office from people that send her things over the years. And some of those things on her shelf are from me and my travels. And some of you ask her, if you're ever in her office, just say, hey, Corey, which one of those are from Craig, and where did he send those from? So Corey and I were talking, and she said, as we all are well aware, 2020 is an unusual year. And I'm calling 2020 Plan B. Everybody started on Plan A. Hey, this is what I'm going to plan on doing. Maybe in New Year's Eve 2020, we all had New Year's resolutions, or maybe some of us did. But I bet very few or none of us said, oh, I think this is going to happen this year, where everything is just altered, modified, messed up, changed. So we're on plan B. We're on plan B here in the UK. You are there in Denver, Colorado. And so with your education, you're on plan B. And we're on internet learning and online courses. And so Corey was wanting the online course to be as robust as she could possibly make it. And she was exploring ideas with me. Said, hey, Craig, what do you think about this? And I said, well, who do you have instructing a second year? And she said, well, I've got Bill and Calvin. And I said, well, maybe I could offer some additional help, an additional aid, maybe supplementary teaching to what they're already doing in their curriculum to help give you the best education possible. And she said, yeah, that sounds great. What are you thinking? And I said, well, maybe I do some videos, maybe once a week or once every other week. And I just send some videos that you're able to view however you're viewing it. I think you're going to be viewing this on YouTube by a link that your teacher and Corey are going to provide to you. And so it's going to be supplementary teaching that's going to maybe expand on some areas. Maybe it's going to be connecting the dots. There's only a certain amount of time that your instructor has to go over a lot of information with you. And you've got a really tough job as a student this year. Maybe for some of you, this is really difficult, setting aside time where you're alone in the house. Maybe you've got kids that it's difficult to kind of be in your own area of the house and to stay focused in on a video. And it's hard enough on a Plan A year, on a normal year, to be an electrical student. So I'm sure it's that much more difficult for many of you doing this year differently than we normally do. And so you've got a tough job, and your instructor has a tough job of keeping you all excited and informed and educated through Zoom and other ways of conveying that information. I've got an easy job. This is really, when Corey was asking me and I was telling her my idea, I was like, sweet, this is great. I'm going to maybe appear in front of these sort of magical places like Ripley Castle here. And at my time, right now it's toward the end of the night. It's dinner time for us. We're 7 hours ahead of you in our time. Dinner time for us. The sun's kind of going down. It gets dark here this time of the year, about 9 o'clock. I can finish out the day like this. I can tape something for you guys. I can talk about electrical stuff, which gets me really excited. And I can then put that in YouTube and then say, hey, watch this to supplement your education. And my job's easy. And this really works for me. Which is the other reason why I'm here. Not only did Corey say, hey, I'm looking to have this, to do this, but another reason why I'm here is for me. I get a lot out of this. There have been some areas in my life that since moving here to England that have been, my teaching areas have been stunted. There have been some areas where I've been able to teach and exercise that part of me that needs to talk and needs to give out information that I have. In some areas I haven't been able to do that. So that's another reason why I'm here. I love it. And I want you to be as excited as I am and know the many opportunities that are in front of you being an electrical student. And then, so that leads into the last reason why I'm here is because of you. I want to make your education the best possible. And hopefully between what your instructors have planned for you, what Corey has planned for you, and with my supplemental teachings, the combination of all those, hopefully we can give you the best Plan B education that we can possibly give you. So what my next thing is what you're to expect this semester and this year. Second semester, I hope I haven't said that too many times. Second year, first semester. I don't want to say second semester, and pardon me if I do. Second year, first semester starts really fast. And if you blink, you might miss something. And the greatest analogy that I can give you for that is, let's say, and I'm sure many of you are Bronco fans, and let's say you're sitting down on a Sunday, you're all excited, You've got um, um, nothing else really going on that day except for Bronco football. And you sit down and you're like, oh, I forgot, I got to grab something out of the kitchen. And the Broncos are playing the Chargers and kickoff is happening. And you go in the kitchen and you go make something and you maybe fix a drink or something. And 10 minutes later, you come sit down and you're like, okay, I'm ready to go. And then you look at the TV and the Broncos are losing 14-0. And you're like, what happened? What did I miss? How did that possibly happen? Somebody explain to me how they're down 2 touchdowns. First semester has a way in the second year of almost blindsiding and happening so quick because AC theory is so complex and there's so many different terms and formulas, definitions, and concepts to grasp that some of you may feel right out in the second week. You might feel like the Broncos would if they're down 14-0. And then you may need to regroup. And that's one of the reasons why I'm here, is to provide encouragement to you if you need to regroup. Like a good quarterback can regroup. Somebody like Peyton Manning, his ability to regroup if he's down 14-0. Tom Brady, some of you might be Patriots fans. Well, he's not with the Patriots anymore, but if you are Patriots fans and have enjoyed him in the past when he was a Patriot, those best quarterbacks know how to regroup if they're down. And you might find yourself down right out of the gate, second or third week, and go, what happened? What are we talking about? I was excited to start the semester, and I'm really not getting this already. I'm here to encourage you, and I'm here to help you get through some of those spots, as well as your instructors that know that there's some difficult stuff that's on your plate for the first semester. So in the first semester, we talk about AC theory. And we can't talk about AC theory without talking about Nikola Tesla. And I can't talk about Nikola Tesla without talking about Michael Faraday. So some of first semester is going to be a history lesson. And some of it's going to be a geography lesson. I'm going to walk through some of the different areas where some of these brilliant men came from to help create the foundation of this electrical work that you're experiencing right now. Everything electrical has to do with those early founding fathers. So I'm going to go over some of that stuff with you. So, as well as your instructors and what they've got on their syllabus for you. And that stuff really excites me. The history piece, the geography piece, the math piece, all those combined, all of that is an AC theory. And hopefully I can share my excitement in that for you. And then with AC theory, we talk about transformers. And then right after that, we go into motor theory. And so that's the bulk of the first semester. There's a few other smaller things that are thrown in there, smaller modules, but those are the bulk items. And they're really they're heavier in their theory and in you having to grasp all the knowledge. And then the second semester, there's a bunch of smaller modules: conduit bending, box fill, wiring methods, conductor ampacity, grounding and bonding. There's a lot of different things, lighting, that we'll be going over in the second semester, where it goes at a faster pace, but none of them are as sort of heavy in their knowledge as AC theory. So I'm going to help you out the best that I can, and I'm excited to be the person that's going to help Bill and Calvin to relay those messages to you. So I'm excited for that. I hope that you're excited. There's some of second year. Second year is an interesting year. Every year has its own difficulties. So in comparison, and saying every year has its own difficulties, there's something uniquely different about second year that might be a little bit more difficult than the other years. And here's a few of those examples. The first thing is, you're not quite over the hill yet. In a 4-year program, you're still on your beginning of your second year. You're kind of getting to that hump. And then after second year, maybe you start coming down that hump and you feel like, okay, I've got more behind me than is ahead of me. So that's one thing with second year. Another one is, in first year, there's a newness and an excitement that happens that that is it's very common in first year to have, and it can be a little bit easier. I'm not going to minimize first year, but I'm going to say it can be a little bit easier just because it might be a little bit more exciting and a little bit new. You might be telling your friends or your family or your neighbors, "Hey, I'm starting to be an electrician. I'm now working for this company where I'm making money right away, and I'm going to school, and it's working out really well, and I got good grades last year." And there's this excitement that happens, and then second year hits, where I'll give you the analogy of one of the reasons why my wife and I moved here is because of travel. And one of our last trips was a road trip to France. And on that road trip to France, I only had to know a couple of different words. And the phrase that I knew the best was "Parlez-vous anglais?" which is, "Do you speak English?" And then the French person might say, "No," or they might say, "Yes, I speak a little bit of English," and then he or she might be able to help me out. I knew that, and I knew a couple of smaller words, and that was it. And I was able to get through a couple of weeks or 10 days on a road trip in France. As opposed to, or compared to my daughter, who's a French student. She's 14 years old, and she's starting to learn. She's immersed into the language. She's learning a little bit more, or a lot more than me and my wife, and she can get through more difficult sayings or conversations than I would. I would just have that deer in the headlight look if somebody asked me a full sentence speaking French. So there's something that happens with second year compared to first year where there can be a sense of ease that happens with first year, and then second year happens, and then AC theory happens in the first semester, and then whoa, wait a minute, I thought this was going to be a little easier than this, or I thought, I didn't sign up for all this math and these difficult formulas and all these terms that I'm learning and all this different stuff. It's not quite what I anticipated. So for some of you, this is going to be a difficult semester. And some of you, this is going to be a challenge that you're going to get excited about and go, yeah, I'm really getting this stuff. And I am really good at math. And I'm excelling in these areas. And you're going to have everybody kind of in between. You're going to have both ends of that pendulum for people in this class, and anything in between. And then what the beautiful thing that happens this year is that after AC theory, it can be like a, whew, I got through it. Once you get through what I think is the most difficult formula in all of your 4 years, it is the impedance formula in an RLC parallel circuit. And it looks pretty difficult on paper, and you have to enter in about 15 different things on your calculator. But you can do it. And once you get past that and you're into some of the other things, and some of the other things that you're applying to your job, and maybe you can find in your code book, and some of the other things that are more tangible, and you're over that AC theory hump, I'm pretty confident that you're going to be pretty excited that you got through some difficult stuff, and then have that under your belt, and you're kind of taken off and feel that that weight lifted, like, yeah, I just did something pretty difficult. I don't know if any of you have been on a new construction site where you've been on that site from beginning to end, and when you get to that end on that site and that the final inspections are done on that job, and you're like, yeah, I was part of that. There's something that comes with getting through AC theory and some of these difficult topics, that there's an excitement and an ease that happens afterwards. So I'm here to be a part of your journey. I look forward to seeing you again. I look forward to coming from a different spot next time, and have a different, as beautiful as the Ripley Castle is behind me, it's going to be a different image next time, and I'm not going to tell you what it is until I appear for you next time. All the best to you during this Plan B year of 2020. all the best to you and your studies and your education, to the instructors that are working hard to make this the best possible year for you, to Corey Gerlitz, who's doing everything that she can to keep this going and streamline this and make this the best possible for you. Thank you for this time. I look forward to more of our visits together. Thank you.